Hey there, commercial construction coffee talk fans. Thanks for chiming in. My name's David Corson. I'm your host. I'm also the publisher and editor of Commercial Construction and Renovation magazine. This is what it used to look like when we're 100% digital now, but let's see what issue this was. This was June 2021. Citizens M Hotel Group. This was 164 pages, another great looking issue. And let's see what I was doing back then. Well, I was at my prep school in New Jersey, the Petty School, where I was a four-year boarder, hockey lacrosse player, and uh, was there for my I don't know what alumni reunion it was, but anyway, it's that's the athletic center, and our big quote on the athletic center is hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So we were a small school, 500 kids, I had about 110 people in my class, but we're all athletes, and we used to go up against all the big high schools in New Jersey and PA and whatever. And they thought we were going to beat on them, but we had a winning attitude. So it was
There you go.
we backed it up. So, but it's always nice to hold the magazine. We went digital in August of 2021. That was the last issue we printed, and we just had under 7 million people hit our website last month with 330,000 unique users. I don't know. But it's been amazing. We've been on fire this year, and everybody that's out there on the web that's consuming our content, we really appreciate it. Can't do without you. So you're gold in my eyes. But today is July 2nd. One more day, and it's the long weekend ahead. Hot and steamy here in the ATL. I'm up here in Sugar Hill, just north of Atlanta, and it is hot and steamy here. Not a cloud in the sky, and I've only seen rain in a couple of weeks. I live right below the lake, and we're still a full pool, but the DNR is going to start opening up the floodgates because we feed all of South Georgia, Alabama, Florida, and they let a lot of water out. I can hear the siren that goes off. It says, "Get out of the river." It's the Chattahoochee River. Get out of the river. The water's going to rise. So anyway, I hope everybody's having a great day and staying cool out there. It's the dog days of summer. Today, I've got a special guest. He's out of Wichita, Kansas. His name is Mr. Chris Callen. He's the CEO of Plot. And they use technology on site coordination for projects. So, Chris, say hello to our audience out there on Commercial Construction Coffee Talk.
Hey, how's everyone doing? Pleasure to meet everyone. I'm looking forward to the conversation today.
Yeah, absolutely. Pleasure, pleasure. And as usual, I got a press release and I read it, and I hadn't really had someone like this on here, so we're gonna talk technology, sites, and all that kind of stuff. And so, Chris, the way it's gonna work, we do our episodes in three stages. You'll tell us your story, where you grew up, where you went to school, and how you ended up at Plot. Then we'll talk about the last 3 years or four of the roller coaster that we've all been on, lessons learned, and any cool products or services that you have coming down the pipeline. And then you'll leave one positive thought or phrase for our listeners out there, and then we'll finish up and uh, and go from there. So, with that said, the floor is yours. Tell us your story.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, looking forward to it. Yeah, so my name's Chris Callen. I was my journey in construction began at birth, really. So born into a construction family, and that meant that dad was running a concrete subcontractor out in Western Kansas. But also a little unique was the fact that my mom was a co-owner and co-operator of the company. So it was very much a family business. And I always say that I was involuntarily involved at a young age. So working nights and weekends and summer breaks on job sites and sweeping the shops, that was my first job. And naturally, I rebelled. I just said, "There's no way that I'm going to do what mom does. I'm not going to do what dad does because I want to do my own thing." So I kind of got as far away as I thought I could go into the realm of technology and software, and that's kind of how I grew up. That was my interest, and that was what my degree and my first job out of college was focused on. And then, this thing called 3G came around, and now we were starting to get technology deployed to job sites. And that just kind of was a light bulb moment in my life that was said, it kind of told me, hey, you're not loving building software for consumer in that regards. It was just kind of entertainment purposes. You want to do more. You're still kind of drawn to this construction upbringing, and now there's this technological advantage being given to contractors that adopt and deploy technology on job sites, not just in the office. So I returned to the family company. I ran it for about 5 years. We grew to a company of about 75 individuals, based in Wichita, Kansas. So still a small, medium-sized concrete contractor. We bought a lot of software, but even in that day, and even today, there wasn't a lot of software built for subcontractors. And what I really mean by that is there wasn't a lot of software built for field operations. A lot of time they were, using software in estimating or pre-construction, but we weren't even deploying tablets or smartphones to the job site at that point in time. So, we bought software, but we started building our software as well. And I spun out my first construction technology company. So that was 2017, I believe. And obviously, I was gung ho. I was ready to build something that was going to have a massive impact on the industry. And I think we built a really powerful technology, but it was not a great product, not at the beginning at least. And so we put that out there, and the industry does what it does, and it kind of pushed back. And we didn't have some things in line, and so we learned the hard way about building a pragmatic product for the industry, something that solves today's problems, something that's not just a science experiment that looks cool in a demonstration, but actually has meaningful value for individuals on site who have thousands of things better or more important to do. So we did sell that company, but it wasn't the aim, it wasn't the aspiration that we wanted in the beginning. So I worked for a Bay Area company for about a year, and then I launched my second company called Plot, which is what we're running today. And obviously, I was licking my wounds. I had touched the stove. I had gone out there and failed in a lot of regards. And the one thing my wife always told me was, hey, you went through this experience. It was negative. You have a very amazing opportunity to use that negative experience for something positive and to use those lessons into building something. And that's kind of what set the stage for Plot. So very much in the early days, we focused on problems that I felt as a concrete subcontractor, problems that I know my field guys experienced out in the field. And the first product came out in Plot as it came down to material delivery coordination on site. So, every piece of matter in every building or any piece of infrastructure comes there on a truck. And that is a massive supply chain headache. And obviously, you can look at the entire supply chain, but what we really aimed to focus on was that last little mile from distributor or retailer to the job site, and making sure that the subcontractor had enough time to offload that material and get it on site without being bombarded by another trade, or getting the truck there 5 minutes before the GC wants to go home. So that was our first tool. It had a lot of early success. We quickly realized that we could expand that into procurement. So scheduling the ordering of material, managing the GC to trade, coordination of those material orders, and just taking it kind of one step up, but still focusing on the subcontractor foreman and the general contractor superintendent as our primary points of interest to keep solving their problems. So, we're still a small company. We're coming up a couple more months and we'll be 3 years old on paper, but the product has only been out for maybe 2. So definitely past that first hurdle, but a lot lays in front of us. But we were absolutely ecstatic about what we've done this year and kind of how that set us up for the coming years.
You and I have the same background. My family's been in demolition, recycling since 1888. And I'm a Yankee living in the South. I'm a damn Yankee because I stayed here. But
Yeah.
when all the grandsons got their driver's license at 16, you had to go into the scrapyard. So
Yeah.
I cut steel, I shoveled asbestos, did some. I did laid railroad tracks, built sandblasting booths for train cars, and now my cousins are running it. But and
That's
my
right.
dad, he was in upholstery manufacturing, and my stepdad was in wholesale jewelry, and here I am. I'm still a constructor. I build this magazine every month. I
Yeah.
built it, but now instead of using paper and ink and postage, I do it digitally, and
Yeah.
I don't miss the I don't miss the printer. I don't miss the post office.
Yeah.
But I'm still a builder. I build something every month, and uh, you said it so right. If you're not making mistakes, if you're not making mistakes, you're not learning. And
Yep.
uh and that's just the way it is with entrepreneurship. So you came out with a product, but you also found out that there was more to it, and adding those things as you come along. And there's probably going to be other things that pop in your head. You'll have an epiphany where you'll be able to gain more revenue streams for your firm. So I love hearing these stories where, oh, this isn't my gig. I did my summer jobs, but it's not me. But then you've come back, and then you're doing your own gig. But all those things that you learned from all those other ones helped you to get where you are. Am I correct on that assumption?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think I think the best, there's a difference between knowledge and wisdom, and I think that it's knowledge plus failure is what gives you that wisdom. And obviously, you have to recognize that, and you have to have some tough skin at times to learn from it and adapt. But once you're ready to deploy those lessons learned, then I just feel like you're operating with cheat codes sometimes, because you've gone through certain things. And even if it's not the exact same scenario, you can pull from your past experiences and have a more wise approach to how to encounter something new, even if it's different than what you failed or learned from in the past.
Yeah. Look, I was with our company was bought up by Nielsen in '99 when I launched my magazine, and that honeymoon lasted about 18 months. And then
Hmm.
right after 9/11, they whacked about 50 magazines out of their couple
Oh
hundred
wow,
magazine portfolio. I was a dual publisher, but my construction magazine was like my baby. And my son was born
yeah,
the same year I launched. It was called Retail Operations and Construction. It was an ugly tabloid, but it was tied to
yeah,
a show. And anyway, I offered to buy it, and they didn't want to sell it to me, and they were like, "You could retire here. We love you." I said, "Look, I'm going on the road. When I come back,
yeah,
you need to make a decision." Everybody told me not to do it, but to Severance said, I came back. I said, "You gonna sell me the magazine?" They said no. I said, "Here's my resignation," and I started with a press release, a phone line, a fax line, and here I am today. I'm still standing, and I just kind of put the blinders on and used my athletics, winning ugly, winning pretty, it doesn't matter. You want to get the W's. You're not going to win
yeah.
every game. You're going to learn from your mistakes. You got to apply that stuff. And it's just that story, I've heard it so many times from people that have worked for their company. They've gone on their own, and then here they are, and they come up, they have that epiphany, whatever it might be, and they're succeeding. So hats off to you. It's a really, really good story. And boom shakalaka to you. So uh anyway, let's talk about you're 3 years old. So obviously, as you look back, the country kind of just stopped dead in its tracks, several years ago. Now we're kind of out of the tunnel, but there's still some speed bumps, potholes, and what have you.
Yeah.
But talk about how you weathered the storm with yourself, and like lessons learned that some of our listeners out there in commercial construction coffee talk would find of interest.
Yeah, I mean, there's two aspects to it, and it both intertwines with the company. It's kind of what the industry construction went through, and then what the industry of startup software went through, and they're definitely commingled, because our product, the problem that we're solving is material procurement on job sites, which was absolutely top of the list of what got disrupted in the past 5 years. So it's definitely something of focus, and it also affected the venture capital environment that we live in. That we have to operate inside of this mechanic, and valuations tumbled. There's a lot of companies that could not make it through. There's still companies that may not, and it was just kind of an interesting dynamic. But when we set out to build Plot, we wanted to focus on, it's kind of a Goldilocks effect. It's a problem that's small enough that we can solve with 6 months of code, with a small engineering team. But it is large enough that you can build a company around it. You can have a future for it. So, how do you build something so small that it can be built in 6 months, but it solves problems that it can be sold, and then it solves big enough problems for enough people that you can build a organization around it, that you can continue to add on customers and contracts, and build and build and build. And when we looked at procurement, we thought it was so interesting, because the entirety of the last 30 years, the way that we build buildings today is completely different. What is in a building that we build is completely different. And the subcontractor nature of our design bid build contracts, there's so much being done by the trades, including their own individual procurement. It all kind of fell, there's just a lot of interruption points that occurred that pronounced procurement as a major problem that was being identified by general contractors, which are our customer base. So, we really set out to build something that they had already identified as a problem, because as a software solution, we have to sell both, hey, this problem is worth solving. That's step one. And we are the best solution to solve it. You have to do both of those. And it is so much easier if that problem has been self-identified by your customers. So, we honed in on procurement as an item that needs to be there. And while we obviously don't see the supply chain operating as it did in the past 2 or 3 years, it is definitely still a point of reference. And no one wants to be that vulnerable to an effect of that again. But I think that even if things go smoothly in the next 10, 20 years, it is identified as a point of competitiveness. It's an area that if contractors can go out there and become better than their competition in managing the offsite schedule as closely as they manage the onsite schedule, that they can win against their competitors. They can deliver products quicker to their customers. And most of the top general contractors in the nation have identified that in their strategic planning for the last couple of years. And when we find ourselves aligned with a mission that's internal to a general contractor like that, then we know that we're on the right thread.
Yeah, it's amazing, all the conversations that I've had over the last, since 2020. So many, the firms that were, even some of the bigger firms, but if you're a small firm, you were able to turn, you're like a destroyer versus an aircraft carrier where it takes
Yeah.
forever to turn or stop. And I don't even want to use the pivot. I'm an athlete. Bottom line
Yep.
is you were able to turn on a dime. And
Yep.
I went from print face to face to digital. And I talked to so many companies that whether their people were had to work out of their house versus going into the office. But they found out that they had some of the best years. They found out more about their company. They helped
Yep.
their clients, get through and keep their projects on time and on budget, and that they probably could have taken on more business if they could have found more PMs or superintendents, et cetera. And
Yep.
the biggest thing was, finding product to make sure it was there. But you can't listen. You can't build a building without concrete.
Right.
It's just the reality of it. But so many people have taken to technology. And listen, there's some contractors who are probably using slide rules out there right now still.
Yep.
But technology has made an amazing jump to increase efficiencies, just-in-time manufacturing, or getting whatever you need. And believe me, having all your subs show up at once, depending on the size of the job site, could be a headache
Yep.
for the super on the job, or
Right.
whoever's there running the project. I mean, right now I just broke ground on my lake lot for my empty nester gig, and my wife's a residential contractor. We haven't done she's done a lot of basements and bathrooms and that kind of stuff, but we haven't done a new
Right.
build. So
Okay.
we're acting as the contractor, and
Yeah.
it was amazing. It took me about 4.5 months to get through the permitting process. They made me change my address and they made me move my septic tank. So I got my permits right before Memorial Day weekend. I broke ground, had a father and son team in. They cleared that lot out in about, 3.5 days. The county engineer came out, they checked the elevations, put the sticks out, and then met them at the inspector. He's going through all my inspections. And then we were looking at the lot, and you can look at blueprints and 3D CADs all day long. But until you go out and actually look at stuff, and we looked at it, and when they made me change my address, I had like the circular drive, and they made me just kind of just a single drive coming up to where the landing
Mm.
point was. But I didn't have enough space where it would level out. So it was really,
Yeah.
really steep. And the grader's like, David, your driveway is really steep. You're going to need a lot of dirt to come in there. And so I looked at it and I called my wife. I'm like, hey, babe, you got to come up here and look at this. We got problems.
Yeah.
Houston, we have problems. And anyway, so now I'm in the revision plan. Right before I did that, I just emailed the health department with the septic. I said, look, I was told I had to use this one, but they told me I had to send you this thing, and so I'm waiting for them to, so I can rock and roll with the concrete. And the last thing you want to do is lay concrete and then bust it up. It's expensive, right?
Oh, oh no, that's a nightmare in the Callen household for sure. That's not nothing we aim for.
But it was funny. The grader goes, "Hey David, if there was a super up on this job, we would have just done it. So you're lucky you were up here looking at stuff." And I'm doing a videography of it, so I'm going to use it as editorial in the magazine and everything else. So I was up there anyway, and
Yeah,
but it was so now I'm my neighbor's like, "You haven't done anything in 2 weeks." I'm like, Kirby, relax. There's going to be days where nothing happens. I can't build this house in a month. Okay, I got to wait.
yep,
There's 3 inspections just on the concrete alone. They check the footings, they're checking the rebar, they're checking all this stuff. There's gonna be days when they're not gonna, it's a weather thing too. I mean, it could be
yeah,
raining. You're gonna lose some days. Trust me, once we get the house done and the roof's up and it's dry, we're gonna crank that sucker out because, our subs, they love my wife. We treat them well. We feed them, we pay them well. They're gonna get that stuff
yep,
done. Just getting that foundation and it dries. So it's I totally, get that. And it was a learning experience though, and
yeah,
uh the day I stop learning is the day I should go do something else. I don't care what it is. And
yep.
but so let me ask you, your product is commercial, residential, industrial, it doesn't matter, right? It's all for all sorts of job sites, correct?
Yeah, so we've really focused in on honestly the top projects in the nation as far as size. So we do a lot of data center projects, a lot of high rise construction, manufacturing facilities, things like that. But it is coming lower and lower, especially with our new procurement tool. So delivery coordination. If you have a job site that gets a couple deliveries a week, you're not really going to have a coordination issue. But if you're building a high rise in downtown Chicago, you have one lane of traffic that you have blocked off for every truck to offload. You need one truck unloading at all times, never zero trucks, never two trucks. And that's really where that first tool stood up. But we're seeing that it's going lower and lower and lower. Small scale commercial as of now, we're yet to really enter or work with any single family residential contractors. But on the procurement side, I see no reason why it wouldn't still be well worth the exercise.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, as we just finished up Q2. We're going into Q3 and the second half of the year, another 180, 2 days and so forth. As you look at the second half of the year and going into 2025, what you're feeling as far as in construction in general, and since you're working on some of these mega projects and bigger projects, and what do you see, down the road that, from a technology point of view, not even on your own, but just in general, what you see
Yeah.
coming down, especially with AI,
Yeah.
everybody, jumping on that ship.
No, I think that the next, 6 to 12 months, the industry as a whole, we definitely have some strong sectors, obviously infrastructure, manufacturing, data center, anything that has a bill associated with it in the last administration or the current administration. There's just so much backlog in certain sectors, which I definitely think are going to be a foundational, they're going to help the industry. I think that a lot of contractors that made their mark with single fam or a multifamily residential, I think, or I'm sorry, not multifamily residential, but commercial office building, those type of build outs. They're now having to look at more and more multifamily, and obviously there's a lot of owners out there that are looking at conversion of their existing portfolio. Just because that office environment is not rebounding and likely won't ever get to that level. So, I think that the sector as a whole, interest rates being as they are, I still don't think that we're in a necessarily any sort of fear of losing out. But I do think that the industry is having to be a little bit more selective, or the owners and the developers being a little bit more selective on what they're willing to deploy funds at with these interest rates, and that definitely leads to some not a ballooning of available projects out there. So we're lucky to be in that manufacturing data center side that is just exploding right now. That's definitely the where we cut our teeth as far as project type. But as technology evolves, AI becomes more ubiquitous. I don't think that it is any longer a competitive advantage for softwares offering out there. It is table stakes. and every tool is going to have, cloud-based algorithms, and they're going to have cloud-based, AI as ubiquitous. So even as every software moved away, all their value propositions are still unique, but they moved from on-prem to the cloud. That same type of mass migration of workflow will take place. And I think that that's going to have a fairly big impact on converting high-level software down to easy to use interfaces for those that have used their experience in the field, in the trades, and don't have all the time and experience in front of a computer, like a lot of the technologies that have been here for decades. So I think that we're going to see, more and more, every day we have someone retiring from the construction field and someone coming in, and that replacement, hopefully we can keep that one-to-one, or get that to one-to-one might be the better appropriate term. But each time we're replacing someone, that person is much more digitally native. They are more comfortable with technology, and it's not only a comfort, it's an expectation. So individuals that are 20s, 30s years old, they come into it. They obviously use technology in their personal life. They are looking to use technology in their professional life. And obviously, if they go into the workforce and they don't see that technology, it's a bit of a red flag, just because there is so much opportunity for things to be done. That being said, so much construction cannot be done with algorithms, cannot be done with software, and that's what makes this industry so unique and so powerful, and why I love to be a part of it. But I think that software has a long ways to go in ease of use. If we are going to truly connect everyone on the job site, not just those with degrees or those that are working in the job trailer, continue to make things more and more digestible for those in the field. And that's not just digitizing paper. That's not just putting forms on a tablet. That is as actually making something actionable. It is actually grouping together pieces of information that makes that person's life easier, and transmits it into a way that doesn't take 15 minutes to search through folders to find the right document, that is still remnant of our paper-based submittal or contract drawing environment. So I really think that we'll start to see kind of the digestion of the workflows in order to make stuff more ability to be aggregated and used across different workflows. And that goes into the last part about it. I think integrations are absolutely the biggest involvement that'll happen. So we really have started to see that there are the best tools for certain workflows. You go out to a job site, you wouldn't use the skid steer manufacturer say, hey, they got to build a hammer drill. That just doesn't really make a lot of sense. There's so many specialized tools on our job site in the physical sense. That same dynamic carries true in the software sense. And but those tools, if there are different providers, need to talk to each other. And I think we're starting to see some of those walls come down, and that is a massive benefit to anyone using two different tools that can talk to each other above and beyond the sum of parts. So I definitely think that those are the biggest things. AI, I am not on the bullish angle, not the bullish edge of it, because I think that the bullish edge of it right now is ridiculous. But I am absolutely, I absolutely believe it will change every software out there. I think it will be a demonstrable part of every workflow. But it will take time to build trust. And to me, when we talk about AI, you cannot talk about AI without talking about trust, because in the similar example of hammer drill and skid steer, that thing breaks down once a week. You're not going to buy that brand again. You're not going to put your workflows at the expense of something that you can't rely upon, you can't trust. And the same trust is maybe even more acute when it comes to software solutions out there. And they have to be able to know that when they are not talking to an algorithm that is 1 + 1 = 2, that has been determined by a software engineer, that background, when you have an AI that is doing something that's never really been proofed or back-ended by testing or anything like that, you're going to have a lot of trust in that. And users are going to have to know that there is a period of time where there's going to be 1 out of 10 that's wrong, 2 out of 10 that is wrong, and they need to identify that. So I want to make sure that AI stays in the hands of those that can make those calls until we really get to that 99, 98 percentile of accuracy, that those that will take the word of AI at face value they can feel much more strongly about the conviction behind the answer that's being given, and that's a rabbit hole. But AI integration, and then the digital native aspect of our workforce, I think those are all going to be bullish in the nature of integrating more and more software and hardware into the job site.
Yeah, over the last couple of weeks, I had a, gentleman in Canada. He did heavy equipment and about 150 branches. Anyway, we were talking about technology and people. And I had another guy. He was out in, I think he was in Dubai. Anyway, he had these sensors that he puts on the workers so they know, hey, it's time to get some water.
Yeah,
Your body, it's just amazing what is done. But when you look at the markets like data centers, it's like one of the hottest markets.
yep,
Multifamily 4 or 5 years ago, no one even used that term, but now it's just it's an everyday occurrence. And
yep,
uh, the biggest thing is that you hit the nail on the head. The occupancy rate in some of the cities is just way down. But just like in retail, they're always reinventing themselves. They might if you see something in the newspaper, hey, they're shutting down 30 stores, but if you go 4 or 5 paragraphs down, you'll see, hey, but we're building 10 new ones. And they're getting
yep,
rid of the dog stores. Someone's going to come in, they're going to refixture it with FF&E, new sign, carpet, paint, just to basically and the biggest thing is that in the cities, they're going to have a lot of this real estate that's empty. And the other day I was looking at a mall. I was somewhere out in California, but it was like a ghost mall. But someone's going to have to go in there and renovate it, and hopefully they can figure out, putting in more toilets or whatever it might be. But the people have to have the vision and and use technology so they can create something out of those reuse facilities. And it's just an exciting time to be in construction. It just really is. And it really doesn't matter, federal, commercial, industrial,
yeah,
these mega projects, it all comes to fruition. And once again, when you're done, hey, I built that. So
yeah.
really cool. So um, if any of our listeners out there in commercial construction coffee talk, wanted to bounce some questions off you, as far as plot goes, or, what you have coming down the pike and so forth, how would someone reach out to you?
Yeah, so I'm happy to connect with anyone on LinkedIn. That's my personal way that I engage with those in the industry. That's obviously what it was built for. So Chris Callen on LinkedIn. If you want to send me an email, I will give out the info at getplot.com. That would be our email address. So info at getplot.com. Unfortunately, plot.com was a little too expensive for us, so it is get plot before the word there. But yeah, I believe that our product, I believe that my experience so far has only been possible because of interacting with anyone that has similar or contrarian ideas to mine, and I would absolutely love to connect with anyone who has a passion for this industry and the subject matter of construction procurement.
All right, so there you go. If you're out there in commercial construction coffee talking, you never heard of plot or coordinating with subcontractors and deliveries on your site, and you want to make it run smoothly, hit Chris up on LinkedIn or go to his general info on his website, and you guys can touch base and see what comes of it. If anybody wants to reach me, I'm at David C at ccr-mag.com. And listen, Chris got on here like they sent. I get press releases all day, and listen, if you have something cool, don't judge a book by its cover. And I always say it, I know you heard it, if you don't buy a ticket, you can't win the lottery. So you got to play to win. And so the bottom line is, if you don't send me something, I can't look at it. And it could be anything. It could be a new product release, it could be an anniversary of your company, a new service, a charity golf tournament that you're doing. We look at everything. Very tough to get in the magazine. However, we got plenty of social media platforms. I'm a content builder, and we build content all day long. So send it to us. It's a win-win. We post it. We sing the URL. It's good for your SEO, which is your search engine optimization. That's how Google finds you. And so send it to us. We love that stuff. I'm data addicted. I just can't get enough of it. So send it to me, and we'll get a post, and we'll take care of you. So with that, as we finish up, We're going into the 4th of July weekend. I have two favorite holidays, Memorial Day, because I come from a military family, and Independence Day. So those, the other ones are all great, but those are two of my favorites. Uh, so as we go into the holiday weekend, what will be a positive thought or phrase that you'd like to leave with our listeners?
Yeah, I think it kind of dovetails nicely with the last conversation we're having. I just think the future of the industry is bright because of the change that it's going through. I think that there's negative aspects to or negative perspectives on some of the changes that are happening, and everyone. It's easy to bash new ideas and new tactics and new perspectives, new individuals, new personalities coming into the industry. But I think that is fairly easily evident that the changes of our workforce, the changes of those on the job site, and the different perspectives they're bringing in are already benefiting project teams, companies, work-life balance. And I just think that the future of the industry is so bright, and I just hope that anyone out there can reach out and embrace the newness of it and put it through its paces for sure. Don't just try something out because it's new, but definitely look to those that are entering the industry and give them a welcoming hand, because we need every single person in the industry that we can get, and we're battling against some pretty interesting competitors as far as when we're looking at our workforce. So but yeah, the future of the industry is extremely bright, and I hope that we continue to grow in the direction that the industry has in the last 5 years.
My son, he went to aviation mechanic school.
Mm.
He wasn't a 4-year college guy, and I thought he
Yeah,
was going to play lacrosse at my alma mater. I went to University of Denver. I was a hockey lacrosse player there. Anyway,
yeah,
he worked at Boeing for 3 years, and he was working on the 787 platforms. And now he resigned, and he's now down here north of Atlanta at the local corporate airport working on Pilatus and turboprops,
okay,
what he went to school for. But
okay,
the biggest thing was when I looked at him, uh, when I went digital from a print face-to-face to I made the transition, I looked at him and I said, "Oh my God, he doesn't even know what a magazine is. If he's going to
yeah,
look at anything, he's going to look at his watch, he's going to look at his phone,
yep,
he's going to look at his tablet."
yep,
And so I looked at my artist and my editor. I said, "Look, let's just go digital and we'll roll the dice." And it was the best decision that we ever did. Very scary. There was a lot of,
yeah,
a lot of nights. I remember April of 2020. When we started this whole thing, I put out my May issue, and my wife's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "I got to go think." And it was a scary thing, but now I look back, it was probably one of the best decisions, and it's been a learning experience. But I looked at my kid, and I just said, "Wow," and there's so many talented individuals, but like you said, if that person doesn't understand technology and they're coming in, that is a red flag, because how
yeah,
could you not embrace technology, especially these days. And
yeah.
so, um, anyway, awesome, awesome. In the beginning of the year, I do about 5 or 6 miles a day, and I do a little video cooling down, and I do a positive thought. And my quote yesterday was, if the plan doesn't work, change the plan, not the goal. The goal is to
Yep.
win and get across the
Yeah.
finish line. So take that to the bank, put in your knowledge vault, and apply it when you need it. So a couple things as we finish up here. Number one, if you're out on the construction site, we want you to be safe. Okay. We want you to get home, be able to have dinner with your spouse, your husband, your wife, your partner, your kids, your pets, dogs, cats, turtles, whatever they might be, and get up and do it the next day. Number two, drink lots of water when you're on the site. Make sure, look, it's getting hot out there. And it really doesn't even matter if it's cold in the winter. You got to stay hydrated. And I'm an athlete. When you get hydrated, you get headaches. When you get headaches, you get hurt. So it's same thing with on the construction site. Stay liquefied, put some electrolytes in that water bottle, and keep your body fluid. First of all, you're going to feel better. Number two, you're going to sleep better. And it's all about being able to get up the next day. The sun's always going to rise. We want you to get back out on that construction site. And last but not least, hit that like button so the algorithms can find this and find about Chris and plot and all that good stuff that he just explained. So pleasure meeting you, Chris. And
You as well.
every time I think of Wichita, I think of the baseball team. They're always there. Trying to get into the World Series. At least, that's the
Yeah.
history, right?
Yeah. No, we definitely the the local environment is just drawn to the university's program, and it's just part of the culture here for sure. And yeah, and as of news yesterday, Boeing is back, so that's aerospace and baseball. That's kind of what we're known for. So
Yeah,
it's definitely
yeah.
definitely what we're about.
If it's not Boeing, I'm not getting on. I think that's one of my t-shirts my kid gave me, so it's listen,
Yeah,
it was amazing experience for him, what he went through, and I'm so glad that he did it. Uh and we need listen, if you're out there and you have kids and they don't know what they're gonna do, all right, uh go into the trades. We need welders, we need HVAC techs, we need mill workers, we need all that stuff, plumbers. Let them, go into the trades. We need them. There's hundreds and thousands of people that are going to retire. And just like Chris said, we need to replace them or we're not going to, move our country forward. So I know Florida State has a beautiful commons and a pool and all that stuff and all these universities, but not everybody's made to go to college. So have your son or your daughter think about trades. And it's an amazing way to go, and you never know, and they can make good money. And working with their hands, there's nothing better for it. Just like I do every month, I take pride in it. I built this, except I just do it digitally without, So, with that said, Chris, pleasure. I look forward to meeting you down the road. And with
yeah.
that said, say goodbye from Wichita.
Goodbye, everyone. Appreciate the time, and reach out if you'd like to continue the conversation.
Absolutely. And I'm going to sign off from Sugar Hill, Georgia, just about 25, 30 miles north of downtown Atlanta, right below the Buford Dam on Lake Lanier. And everybody, listen, tomorrow's Wednesday, it's hump day, but it's a wash and the holiday starts. So enjoy yourself, have fun this weekend. Don't work, recharge your battery, stay cool. And it's second half of the year. Go through the year, keep your blinders on, stay positive, and before you know, it's going to be the end of the year, and we're going to be closing out 2024 and open in 2025 and finish strong with momentum. So with that said, we will see you next time on another episode of Commercial Construction Coffee Talk. Chris, thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. All right. All
Thanks
right.
for having
Cheers.
me.
All right. Cheers, everybody. Ciao.